Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. It's been a week or two since we've been last.
Yes, it's been like, a slight rest period.
Yeah. Now, can I just say that both Brian and I are getting older, and as you get older, things get tough. Getting up,
You lose your keys and things.
lifting a heavy bag, it's tough. Trying to start season 7 of the X-Files Revisited, almost impossible. We have been here a few times trying to do this, and it's never quite worked. And eventually, after much groaning and moaning, we are here.
Yep. I can't even remember how we do this now. It's like we've just started a new podcast because it's been so long.
We have just go back and do the X-Files Revisited.
Yeah. We've had a few people on the YouTube channel. I do appreciate the comments. We've had a few who've said, "Well, when are you coming back? Where have you gone?" And I actually really do appreciate those because it does show that you miss us. So that's nice. It's nice to know we've been missed. But I can only apologise for how long it's taken. They don't take this long for a break between seasons when they're broadcasting them. So it's just been one of those. I think me and Graham just really seriously needed a long break. And we've had it, and now we're back. Hopefully things will get back to normal.
Well, we can but hope. You shall see. It's just tough. I don't know why. I mean, there was never an intention not to come back. I was always fully intending, because we will finish this and then some. So it was just, when are we actually going to get the finger out and do it?
It's just you get into that little rest period, and that little rest period turns into more of a extended vacation, and then that kind of becomes something.
And then there's always health issues, like we're both ill at different times. Breaks and basically what we're saying is
we're back.
If you want excuses, we have got them. We've got them by the bucket load, and we will bring them out at any time. But I suppose we should get on to, we're going to start a new season of the X-Files. It's the Sixth Extinction, episode 1 of season 7. Where does this kind of stand within the X-Files legacy, Brian?
I'm not entirely sure what thoughts are on it amongst the fan base.
Okay,
but for me, whenever I'm talking to someone, because like there's all X-Files fans know. Despite how much they love the show, despite the legacy that it has, as and the impact it's had on popular culture, every X-Files fan knows that it went downhill in the later seasons. I think the thing that is up for debate is, where did that happen? When did that drop off kind of happen? Now, I know last season when we were going through season 6, there were a few people who chimed in and said, yes, this is where it went downhill. I disagree completely. Season 7. Not necessarily the standalone episodes. I still think we've got some bangers coming up. But in terms of the mythology, that's when season 7 for me is the drop-off point. That's when the mythology just went right. Because they did so much in season 6 with the mythology in terms of wrapping it up. With 2 fathers and 1 son, which was just like killing all the syndicate, and it just I don't think they really knew what they were doing after that. I think, and you can tell. So we open up with this 2-parter, and I not to give away the game, but for me personally, this is a tough 2-parter to get through. It's really tough.
I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anything from this onwards now. Like from season 7 onwards, I don't think I've seen a single episode. So where I had seen bits and pieces and I remembered parts, this is completely fresh for me. And I would say that I think part of the problem of us starting this season, and I think we're on the same page here, is episode 1. It's an episode that doesn't really inspire confidence in talking about it, especially for an X-Files opening season episode.
Yeah.
So, Brian, as it's been a while, do you have the IMDb listings in front of you?
I do, yes. Well prepared. Where do you think it ranks?
Of the 217 episodes, I think the season openers and closings generally rank fairly high up in the top half.
Okay.
Would I place that there? You're going to have to wait to the end of the episode to find out. I am going to be conservative and say 71.
Okay. That was way too conservative because it's 122.
122? Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but as you say, you know, for a season opener,
a
mythology episode, it's pretty low.
Yeah.
To say the least.
It really is.
So, yeah, seems we're not the only ones who think this is a rough start to season 7. But yeah, okay, let's get into it. Can't remember what happened in the last episode. I remember it ended with Scully on a beach, but I think if my memory serves me correct, but we're on the Ivory Coast, and we have that thing in X-Files which I always love, which is a voiceover, really melancholic voiceover. And it's
the beach where I died.
Yeah, the beach where I died. Yes, the beach where my X-Files fandom died. Just a joke, guys. Just a joke. So she's doing this voiceover, and it's almost like it's addressed to Moulder. So we realize she's talking to Moulder, and she says that her discovery was meant for him. And then we get locusts, lots and lots of locusts. And we have this strange man who seems to that's kind of like, it's like she turns, she sees this strange man, but then there's nothing there. He's like this African guy, and so she goes to investigate, and there's nothing there. And then all of a sudden, when she gets back in the tent, there's just locusts everywhere, plague of locusts. So she decides, what everyone would try to do when you've got an absolute infestation, rather than just getting the hell out there. She thinks, I know, I'll turn the lamp off.
Yeah.
That'll get rid of him.
It's back to the old days of being 5-year-old and thinking, if I hide under the covers, the monster under the bed just won't get me. I'm super secure.
Like, she's literally knee deep in these things.
Yeah.
And she thinks, I don't know, I'll turn the lamp off. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How about concerning yourself with the fact that within the space of 20 seconds, 30 seconds, the place went from having no locusts at all to being absolutely rammed full.
All the locusts.
It's like literally like somebody's painted the walls with locusts. Yeah, ridiculous. But she's it builds up, the music swells as all these locusts infest, and like you hear Scully shouting, and it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't think Scully's getting taken out by locusts. But it cuts to credits, and that's supposed to be our exciting opening.
Yeah, and I feel this is something that really bugs me a little bit about the X-Files sometimes, is when we jump into a season and we've built up so much in the last season, and we now have to wrap all that story up. So it feels like a sort of midway point before we can start the proper continuing story, because this feels very, already there is elements of biblical settings in it, the locusts, and it's going to become more apparent throughout this one, where they kind of focus on religion and creationism and stuff like that, which you know me, Brian, that instantly puts me to sleep straight away. And it's like I can see the signs and I'm like, like a locust there. Okay.
The thing is, me, and I I go for the episodes that touch on religion. I like the ones that bring up philosophical questions or like theological questions, but I don't like it when they force feed you the answers.
It's not questions, it's preaching.
Yeah,
I feel this is very preachy. It's telling you a single point of view, but they're not having a kind of argument about it. It's just this is the way.
I feel like it alienates a certain portion of the audience, but well, I mean, it alienates everybody, I guess, because we're both not on the page with this one. But I just feel like normally when they do an episode that has those religious undertones, they raise questions and they have it so that a character's faith is tested.
Yes.
So it kind of remains on the fence, so that you can like interpret it one way or the other. Whereas I feel this episode, it's very heavily swinging it towards like aliens are God.
Yes,
aliens kick-started everything, and it just I don't like it.
No, I think the theological discussions are fine to come in, particularly with Scully, particularly when she was looking at her mortality. That feels it feels appropriate to the storyline. But when they're dragging religious beliefs into the main arc of the story and putting that with UFOs, I feel like there's a contradiction there that doesn't quite marry, so to speak. So
yeah, big time. So Moulder is quiet but not sleeping. He's aggressive. His brain is going to die, apparently. It's been a while since I watched this, guys. My notes are a bit hazy. But I know. So last season he kind of collapsed, and he kept having these it's like he was telepathic and stuff, and it was a really exciting storyline. I'm sure you remember. He ended up in hospital anyway, and so the doctors are saying that his brain is going to die. It's basically it's doing too much. It's taking in too much information, and Skinner goes in to see him, and Moulder attacks him. And when Skinner leaves, he finds a "help me" note in his top pocket, in his torn pocket, I should say. Yeah.
And this is it's another aspect I don't like. It's the kind of the sideline Moulder for a lot of this. Although he's the focal point, he does nothing. And I miss our regular team, and I feel like I'm going to go back to it again. I'm going to keep bitching and moaning, Brian. I feel like I'm going back to the last season where it took so long to get Moulder and Scully back to doing what they do, and I feel like we've lost it already. And it's I don't know where this is going to go. If I was being super cynical, I would say that we've got the 2-part story here, which is going to conclude, and in the 3rd episode they'll probably have them investigating something wacky, like back to normal.
As if nothing's happened.
As if nothing's happened.
That's just, hey, another day at the office.
Now, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's what it's going to be, and it's going to annoy me if that's what it is.
That's episodic television for you, particularly of this period. You have to bring everything back to the status quo. It's like modern television when, like kind of, you think like the Breaking Bad era, when all of a sudden you had a planned story. And it's you could have these events would take place in the middle of a season that you'd think that's a season finale kind of deal. You wait for the season finale for that, and then everything between the season opener and the season finale has to be about status quo, bringing it, sending them on an adventure, but bringing them back to the status quo by the end. That you can pretty much see that coming. This 2-parter will be like, the heavens are open, the world is falling apart, the end is nigh, and then it'll end, and it'll be like, let's go on an investigation.
The end is far away now. Everything's good.
So I can't pronounce her name, but Amina Ngabe rocks up to the UFO site to see Scully's discovery. Scully isn't too pleased about that. Ngabe is a biologist who worked with Macmillan. I'm forgetting who Macmillan is.
He's Macmillan.
This is the problem, guys. This is the problem when you spend 4 months off. I think Macmillan was the crazy scientist dude, wasn't he? Who was like killing people in order to like cover stuff up.
Yeah. So the guy that I thought had been in it previously before, but actually hadn't.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So she tells Scully not to tell her men about the locusts or the vanishing man. They will take it as a sign from God to leave the site alone. To which I can only respond, like, given everything you've seen, I think I would leave the site alone and just go back home, to be honest. Yeah.
Pretty much.
But it's supposed to be all right. Building this sense of tension that things are really getting.
Indeed.
The seawater boils one of the men.
Cool.
Yeah, 7 plagues of Egypt and all that.
Yeah.
I don't find it like intriguing. This is the thing. I sit there and I'm just like I should find this spooky. I should find it intriguing. I should be like, what's causing that? And it's like, yeah.
It's like trudging towards the inevitable. It's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like it's building to a really exciting crescendo of a story. It just feels as if it's trudging along, ticking off boxes.
Yeah, because you feel like you already know what it's trying to say.
Yes.
So it's like normally these things would happen, and you'd go, "Why is that happening?" And hence the intrigue. And then you get to the end, and you're like, "Oh, that's why it happened." Whereas now we've been told, we kind of got this sense that, okay, all the religions and stuff are on this like UFO.
Yep.
So the implication there is that religion came from outer space. It's a made up thing, presumably to control mankind or point mankind towards what was coming. So, yeah. When we see this guy boiling in the water, it's like, okay, yes, that's a confirmation of what I feel like the episode is already trying to tell us. So this just it's not intriguing; it's just dull. Skinner creeps in to see Moulder, says he wants to help. Moulder writes something on his hand because apparently writing is easier than talking. It's just like it, yeah. So Moulder can't talk because he's got so much information going on in his head that he's just to even get it out would just be like it requires and yet he can pick up a pen and write. It's like
but you can almost see like Duchovny going like fantastic acting, thank you. Like this, I can really get my teeth into this. I'm like a silent movie star.
You're
just like, God, it's tedious.
Scully voiceover once again, because I love voiceovers, as you know. If only she could learn the UFO's power to save Moulder. This, and again, it's delivered in that melancholic, like I don't like Scully voiceovers these days because they're always like they're filled with this yearning and this sense of like something that's just out of grasp. And I love
like
you, Moulder.
A wistful nature to it.
Yeah, really wistful. And it kind of grates on my nerves.
Yeah, but also she is scientific. She is a medical doctor. And the best way to save Moulder is to fly across the country and play in the sand. Like rather than be there doing tests, finding a medical answer to this. It doesn't ring true. It doesn't feel right.
I mean, it's supposed to be a sign, I guess, that Scully is because obviously in season 6, part of her arc in that was that she starts to rely more on a faith perspective, or at the very least combine both faith and science. There's like a reconciliation there for her throughout season 6 of those two things. And I think coming out to this UFO, realizing that the answers are there that would help Moulder is supposed to be indicative of that, but it doesn't mean I care.
It's just, yeah, but at the same time, it's also challenging her belief system, because they're showing this something, but there never feels like there's that conflict within the character.
No,
it never feels as if she's like, oh, hang on, is what I believe in
wrong? Yeah, that's what it should be, but they're just not doing a very good job of it. There's a potential there within this story to dig deep into those certain aspects of the characters, but they're so concerned with surface level stuff, i.e. UFOs, religion comes from outer space, that all the rest of it kind of just gets buried. So yeah, she says if only she could learn the UFO's power to save Moulder. And then a car rocks up and a man speaks in an African language, or so it appears, and Scully doesn't understand. Then the guy who killed Macmillan reveals himself and argues with Scully about his right to be there.
Yeah.
He says the site holds the answers to everything that both he and Scully don't even believe in. Then the sea turns red and Scully sees the disappearing man once more.
Yeah. Continue, just rinse and repeat. Just, keep it going.
Yeah. Question is, and I'm trying, and I'm just, I'm trying not to just crap on the episode, and I'm trying to look for things, that. What do you think this man, this disappearing man, represents?
A religious deity for the local indigenous tribe.
Yeah, or God in general.
Could be, yeah.
Like that's my reading on it. Could be wrong. People may have a different reading, and I think this is.
Oh, it's showing you spacecraft, and it's all different kinds of religious text that's on it.
Yeah,
and it's it's regionalized really, because wherever you are in the world is a kind of religion that you were brought up with or seen, and it's just kind of like, I think it's just a visage of a religious deity of that area. Now, it could be a grander spirit, but that's just how it's perceived there.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I just like. I personally, I hate the fact that there's all the different religious texts on there.
Yep.
Because what it does is it says that by doing that, it says if they all come from the same place and they're all equal. It's this whole notion that all religions are true, all religions are equal, and when those religions contradict each other, then, which they do, then that can't be true. Yep. All religions can't be true. Either one is true, or some of them feed off the one that is true, or they're all false. That's but
you could almost see it as being, if it was just not all religions, but just a religion blueprint where you can see that people may have taken parts out of to build up their separate, because it needs to come from one source. You can't have 10 sources on one item. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's so like, I guess what I'm getting at is if this man, this disappearing man, represents God, or is God, let's say, then is that calling into question the validity of the UFO and saying that the UFO is some kind of hoax or some kind of trick being played by the aliens to discredit God in the eyes of humans? Or is the disappearing man from the ship in some way? You know what I mean? It's so convoluted and so confused that it's almost impossible to draw definitive answers from.
Yeah.
But but it doesn't raise helpful questions. Like in previous mythology episodes, you'll come out kind of not knowing the answers, but you'll have very distinctive questions as to where the answers might lie. So it always gives you enough to kind of make you think, oh, the answer could be this or it could be that, but we're going to have to wait further on down the line to find out. Whereas here, the questions it raises, if at all, they don't point to a distinctive enough place. It's just so vague and so it's like, and that's why I zone out.
Religion, you can't bring religion into something like this because it's so divisive. I think that if you focus on or you point to one religion, you're excluding everybody else, which is it's going to split the fan base if people are religious at all. So you can't bring that into this show. It doesn't fit within this show. Like,
see, I slightly disagree with that. I do think it's okay to focus on one religion because then you can deal with questions that arise from that religion within the context of the show. I do think there is a problem in bringing every religion in because then it's like, okay, so whose God are we talking about? And who's when we do point to something that appears to be God, which God is it? And if you're saying that it's all religions' gods, then you've just insulted every religion. And it's just so, again, like I say, vague, too all over the place. So many undistilled ideas, and I don't care. Don't care by this point. So Skinner goes to see Critchgow, who I forgot makes another appearance, to be honest. Critchgow is reluctant, so yeah, like Skinner wants Critchgow to come and help, come and see Moulder, and he's reluctant to do so because it's like the last time he got involved with Moulder, his career was like just destroyed. Oh, to be perfectly honest, I'm surprised he's still alive.
Yes.
You know, not just having his career destroyed, but the fact that this guy is still breathing, given the secrets that he like brought Moulder in on. So yeah, but he goes to see Moulder anyway, and then he recognizes that Moulder is responding to questions that haven't yet been asked. Now, I will say, I do like Critchgow in this episode. And he is the one redeeming, well, not redeeming because it doesn't redeem the episode, but he's the one part of the episode that I like. I like this guy. I like the actor. I like the character. I like his kind of the difference between him now to who he was before. You can see that jadedness has set in since the events of when we last saw him. So yeah, I like watching this guy. They take him to another room. Critchgow gets Skinner to inject Moulder with something. He says he recognizes his condition from the ESP tests that they did at the CIA. Moulder starts to come around, then says, "They're coming."
Yeah. Psychic Moulder. It feels lazy. It feels lazy, Brian. Everything just feels like it doesn't feel like the original kind of X-Files are doing the kind of things that they do best. It just feels lazy.
Yeah. I can literally see the will to live disappearing from your eyes.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah.
And we've got part 2 yet.
yeah, which was, and can you just say, like, I watched this episode I think 4 times because we were constantly going to do it, and every time felt like you were punishing me more and more. And I would find myself, and it was roughly this point in every episode that I would find myself just completely tuning out.
Did you ever, like, because you watched it so many different times, did you ever have a point where you're like, feel like this particular viewing was maybe a bit better than the last viewing, or did it just get worse and worse with each?
Yeah, it was just because I like after the first one, which was bad enough, I already knew it was coming, and it was just a case of like, right, let's just get through it. Let's just get through it. Keep going.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, the last one last night was a real struggle. You know, just like watching this story again.
Because I with things that I'm a fan of, I become something of an apologist. Like I'm a guy who went to see Batman and Robin at the cinema 3 times because I was in such denial, and it's like I was telling myself, yeah, no, it's a denial thing. It's like because I'm such a fan of the character of Batman, I refused to believe, I think, that the film was as bad as it is. And it's this thing where you go and you keep telling yourself, like, no, I can watch this. This is watchable. People are just being too harsh. And then, like, by time 5, you're like, no, this is crap. It's bollocks. And I think, like, I remember there being a time when I thought I liked this 2-parter. And it was just that apologist side of me desperately holding on to my fandom and not being able to criticize the thing that I loved. But there's no two ways about it. This is terrible. It's not engaging at all. So Fowley, bloody Fowley in this. Like, I've never been that down on Fowley in terms of what she brings to the show. I've always kind of been. She's not a character I love, but I see how they're using her, and I've always thought, okay, that makes for a foil that is interesting. That but it's in these episodes when that's when the switch gets flipped, and I'm like, damn, I can't stand this woman. It just irritates the crap out of me. Fowley chews out a doctor for not noticing a patient disappearing, but when they get to the room, Moulder is there with Skinner watching over him. Fowley gets a bit pissy with Skinner in her body language when he tells her to help the nurse fill out her report. Moulder says she knows, also says he knows about Krychek, because if you remember, Krychek has got a hold over Skinner.
Yeah.
He says
it gets forgotten about for such long periods, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it nanobots or some nonsense?
Yeah, because it's only used in the mythology episodes, but not every mythology. So it's like it has to serve the plot of that particular mythology episode. So yeah, you forget sometimes. Oh yeah, Krychek's got control of Skinner. But he knows about Krychek. He says he needs Krichgau to prove what's happening to him. Krichgau says he doesn't believe in extraterrestrials. Moulder says that's exactly why it needs to be him. So, yeah. Okay.
Moving
on. Scully says the craft contains genetic information on it, as well as the Bible and pagan writings. And Garby comes in with passages from the Quran. Dr. Barnes says the ship is evidence that there is no God and that what we call God is merely extraterrestrial. He takes the machete and says no one can leave before him.
Oh, you got to love it when somebody just goes crazy. But I feel like this guy rocks up about a 10 anyway, and it's like hard for him to like. He's already feeling a bit crazed when he comes in there.
Yeah.
But see, to be honest, at this point, I was craving something to happen, just to add a little bit of just like normal tension into the thing. And this feels like a good way of doing it.
A bit of spice. Yeah, just like a conflict, isn't it? Yeah, it's a conflict. Yeah. This guy's crazy. He's got the upper hand. He's got the weapon. It's two women. How are they gonna?
the best way to do it is like, so you've been drinking nothing but water for 7 days, and then someone drops a slice of lemon into it, and you're like, oh, thank God. This is really, really shook. It hasn't, but it feels as if it has.
Okay. Krichgau tests Moulder with some monitors. He fails. Moulder does, that is, like the test.
This is the TV test.
Yeah, he's doing a TV test, but it doesn't quite work. And then Moulder says Krichgau doesn't want to believe. Skinner says again, it says do it again, but faster. And then that's when Moulder nailed it with 100% accuracy. So basically, he wants Krichgau can see what's on the screens, and he's supposed to be using his brain to focus on where this thing comes, and then Moulder can. But because Moulder's saying Krichgau doesn't want to believe, it means he's not focusing, which means Moulder can't pick up his thoughts. So obviously, once he does, and Krichgau's like, "Oh yeah, that's incredible. That, you know, look at that."
With as much enthusiasm as that.
So the ship brings some fish back to life, distracting Barnes so that Scully can hit him with a chair.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like Scully could take him out at any point.
I do. I'm not, like, we've seen Scully take out much worse than this guy. Yeah. She's taken out.
He looks really run down. He's sunburned. He's kind of weathered. And
he's old. It's like he's not.
Yeah.
It's like he's getting on a bit. You know, he's not spring chicken. But yeah, we've seen Scully take down tougher than this guy. So. Yeah. The shit, so she hits him, and then Scully and Ngabi drive away. They see a man in the road and slam on the brakes. Then the man sits in Ngabi's place and tells Scully, "Some truths are not meant for you." He touches her head, and she wakes up to Ngabi, who says the men were right to leave the site alone. Scully tells her to take her back home.
Great.
So you're leaving the ship.
Yep.
The ship's still out there.
With a crazy man.
With a crazy man. All this stuff's been going on, plagues, whatnot, and now you're just like, yeah, all right, let's just leave it.
Yeah.
And then you've got this thing that may or may not be God telling Scully some truths are not meant for you, which just, again, it just feels somewhat like lazy writing. It's a way of kind of saying that, oh, but maybe God really does exist and actually has nothing to do with the ship. And now he's telling you to get going and leave it. And you just, guys, just make up your mind. Just just be clearer about it. I don't want to have to think this hard about what's happening, about what's going on, especially when no matter how hard you think, you never arrive at any definitive answers.
Yeah.
So Krichgau goes to inject Moulder with more drugs, but Skinner stops him and argues that he's only doing it for revenge against the government. Krichgau asks how far would Moulder go, so Skinner lets him. Then Fowley and the doctor come in and catch them. When Skinner tries to explain, Moulder goes into a seizure.
Carry on.
Yeah, you've really got nothing to say. Nothing.
There's nothing to say about it. It just.
Oh, it's just like I feel like in another episode, this scene would be like, you'd be like, oh no, Skinner's in trouble. It's like there'd be a level of tension for there in terms of like.
I just expect them to go like, "I'm your boss, piss off."
Yeah.
And it's not like Skinner to like babble an excuse. Do you know what I mean? He's always kind of controlled in these kind of situations.
Yeah. I mean, he has been caught injecting something into someone. It's like he's not a doctor. So. But yeah. Dr. Barnes killed.
Is it Fowley's never done that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Dr. Barnes killed his driver. Good old Dr. Barnes.
Yep.
Nice, sensible human being.
And then obviously we're all sitting there going like, yes, zombies. Like the bag of fish, this guy's coming back. I mean, I think they literally drags the body next to the bag of fish, so it's right there in your mind.
Yeah. It's like they couldn't spell it out anymore as to what's going to happen next. So Fowley tells Moulder she knows that he knows about Cancerman, but says he must also know she has her reasons.
Do you know what this feels like?
What?
I know that you know that I knew that you knew to start with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is. But the whole point is that, like, obviously we've seen that she works for Cancerman, or is working with Cancerman. So we're all like, you know, she's a villain. But by her saying that and us knowing that Moulder knows that she's saying what she's saying because it's coming from a place of truth, then she must have reasons, which suggests that actually maybe she's not on Cancerman's side. She's on their side. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care, because you've not done anything in this episode to make me care. So by this point, Fowl is just a nuisance to me. She's an annoyance, and like trying to beef up her character in an episode where the characters I actually care about are just getting shafted from a writing standpoint. It doesn't do anything to endear me to Fowley. It just makes me go, Fowley, shut up. I don't care about whatever agenda you've got at this point. I want Moulder back to being Moulder, and I want Scully with him. So she then confesses her love for him and says she won't let him die for the X-Files. Says they can be together finally, which is a bit presumptive.
Yep.
Like, she's presuming that he wants to be with her. She's saying, like, we could be together finally. And it's like, all right, that's your position. Why don't you wait to find out what his is?
Yeah. It's
like, it's just like, just everything in this scene just makes me kind of really not like Fowley. Like, I just find her annoying.
I find her very duplicitous. Like, I just don't trust anything she really says. I always feel as if it's like part truths. It's never everything, you know. I just don't trust her.
Scully walks through the halls of the FBI in her scruffs, marches into Skinner's office. Where is he? Skinner says they won't let her see him because of what he and Critchgow have done. She has zero trust of Skinner, that she just looks at him with disdain. Then says they may not let her see him as his partner, but they'll have to as his doctor. How many times does Scully play the doctor card?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think how many times I've been places and my doctors like ran up and forced their way in, and I can't think of any times that's happened at all. Where like my general practitioner has ran up to the doctors while I'm in a procedure and went, "No, I need to be in here."
My medical doctor. It's she always gets hung up on it, but she's a medical doctor. Okay, cool, Scully, cool. Barnes' driver comes back alive, kind of, and kills Barnes. Just like it's just like loose end. It's like literally when that machete goes in, I just hear loose end.
Yeah, but I kind of like it because it's something.
It's just a little bit of mindless violence just to break the boredom.
It's a visual representation of my frustration. You know, the doctor being the story and just me just like
Oh man. Scully pleads with Moulder to hold on. Says she found a key/puzzle that she knows can save him if he'll just hold on. It's all very like overly emotional and melodramatic, and like how many times have we been in this situation where one of them is in a hospital bed, seemingly on death's door, and the other one is like, I've got the piece of the puzzle that I know will help save you. Hold on. It just feels at this point very tropey. Like we've been here so many times.
And it feels like Duchovny's really pushing the boundaries of what he can get paid to do, because he is literally just laying through this episode doing nothing. Like just mist him up with some sweat and just like put things in his head, and that's job done.
Yeah. At least when Scully did it in season 2, she had an excuse because Gillian Anderson was pregnant. So last scene, and Garby returns to the site with police. They find Barnes's body, but the ship is gone. Loose end.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Wrap up.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I really feel really bad for the people who are listening to this, because they've waited so long for us to come back just to hear us crapping on this. It's like I wasn't invested in this episode. Like right from the start, from the voiceover to the religious overtones to the mixed messaging, and there doesn't seem to be a solid story here that you can latch onto. Everything just pushed me away, and for the longest part, nothing really happens. Again, we're separated Scully and Moulder, but Scully's away in like Wuthering Heights world, while Moulder just lays there and does nothing.
Yeah,
like it's not giving me the characters I want doing what they do best. And I know we talk about repetition in this kind of era of TV, but that worked previously, and I want to get back to that grander overarching story. But I want these people doing what they do best, and and the fact that this is the middle part of a grander story fills me with utter dread for part 2. Like it's not something I'm looking forward to. And normally, for the most part, the multi-part episodes are really good, like expansive and exciting, and you feel as if they've got big budgets and they're thrilling. This is the complete antithesis of it. It's just tedium. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot. I kind of come into this episode with a score, and I think I'm dropping it again, and then possibly again, just talking about it. So I think I'm going to go with a horrifying 2 out of 5.
Yeah,
the opening episode.
That's me, 2 out of 5. I think without doubt, for me, this is the worst season opener that we've had on the show. Like you say, our heroes, the characters we come to this show for, they're not active participants in what's going on. They're just, you got Moulder in a bed the whole episode, and you got Scully just looking at stuff, and doing voiceover. You know, even when someone's there that she could like just take out easily, she's not that active about it. And it's not good. It's not good. Like part of me is almost thinking, you know what, this is a 1. Like, will I ever watch this again now that
God no.
I just don't think so. I don't know. I'm going to stick with a 2 just because.
Yeah, I won't watch it again.
Yeah,
I've watched it 4 times. I'm done.
Yeah, I'll stick with a 2. I like Critchgow. He gets a star. And, you know, it's nicely shot. You know, it looks quite, You know, the
You're
trouble
digging
isn't
now. You're really digging.
yeah, I am digging. The trouble isn't any of the technical aspects in that regard. But yeah, 2 out of 5. It's not good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to something a little bit more positive. Let's talk about the next episode of the X-Files. Brian, tell me, is the Sixth Extinction episode 2, is it an improvement? Is it better?
See, my memory is that it's actually worse.
Wow. Wowzer.
I actually think I think it potentially, and I think that's partly why I went with a 2 on this, because there has to be somewhere further down to go.
Right.
For the next episode. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Could be a pleasant surprise.
I mean, yeah. Well, let's wait and see. So, now we're back. We're back feeling stronger and better than ever, and we will continue with season 7. And you can join us next week for the Sixth Extinction Part 2, which should be another joyous and uplifting conversation. As always, if you're joining us on YouTube, click the subscribe, share the video. It's fantastic. If you're listening to us on whatever podcast service you listen to us, if you want to review, that would be fantastic as well. Helps the channel grow. And we'll see you next week for the X-Files Revisited.